Jacob looked at Mei Ching in surprise, and blurted out, "Oh, Mei Ching, are you very proficient in law and law firms?" Paul smiled and said, "Uncle Wilson, don't underestimate my mother. In fact, my mother is also a PhD student at Yale Law School. She and my father met and married at Yale Law School. My dad founded the family's law firm, and my mother has been there to assist him. Without my mother's good help, my dad's career would not be successful." Immediately, Paul sighed with self-deprecation. "It's just that my ability hasn't grown up yet, so I have to bother my mother all the time." Mei Ching smiled and said, "Son, in fact, you have done a very good job. Mom especially hopes that you can grow up as soon as possible, and then take over the company as a whole. In this case, Mom won't have to work so hard anymore." With that, Mei Ching couldn't help sighing. Mom is now back to China and Orus Hill. The biggest idea in my heart is not to start our family's business in Orus Hill, but to enjoy the retirement life of a Chinese lady and in the city. Afterwards, Mei Ching looked at Jacob and sighed in her heart. "I have been working hard in the United States for so many years, but I am actually very tired of my career. In addition, I have never really felt the taste of love. So I now want to go back to China, let go of all that before, concentrate on being a lady, and if given the opportunity, she even hopes to be able to be with Jacob, her first love. If you continue the frontier, this will make up for the regrets that she have had for many years." She also knows that lawyers in the United States are actually a very popular profession, because many lawsuits in the United States are very high in compensation, often tens of millions, even hundreds of millions. According to media reports, a few years ago, someone sued Marlboro, a famous American tobacco brand, for inducing smoking and causing death. The American court even awarded hundreds of millions in compensation. There was also an Asian man who was beaten by American Airlines security on the plane. That incident had a very bad impact on the airline. In the end, the lawyer won tens of millions in compensation for the Asian man. For lawyers, they also have to receive at least 30 to 50% of the compensation amount, and sometimes even higher. Therefore, this is why the lawyers in the United States are very professional, and they are simply desperate to file a lawsuit, and even do everything they want. Because the benefits behind this are really too great, it is possible to win a big lawsuit, and the direct compensation is divided into several million, tens of millions, which is much easier than for ordinary people to make money. Therefore, in the United States, the status of lawyers is also very high, and they are all upper-class people. Especially some of the more famous superheroes in the United States. People like this can generally become billionaires, and even many stars, billionaires and important American guests. Therefore, Jacob couldn't help but feel more inferior in his heart, because he guessed that the family of Mei Ching must be very, very rich, even enough to make their mother and son become an upper-class society in Orus Hill. In contrast, there is nothing he can tell. Shangri-La's meal was a joy for the guests. Charlie's father-in-law was naturally very happy, and Mei Ching was also in a very good mood. Her husband passed away some time ago, and she has been a little sad. At this time, it feels like the rain has passed the day. Paul looked very pleased when he saw his mother in such a good mood. As for Charlie, he just hit the old master who felt sorry for him. Because Mei Ching is so good, he can't imagine how many old men in Orus Hill will pursue her crazy after such a beautiful, temperament, single and golden lady Wilson returns to Orus Hill. It is estimated that the old man will only be troubled in the future. Increase, not decrease. The mother and son came to China on the plane for so long, and their bodies were already a little tired, so after dinner, Jacob and Charlie sent them to the room they had opened in Shangri-La without too much interruption. When he arrived at the guest room department, Jacob was again irritated, because Mei Ching and her son both opened super luxurious executive suites. Shangri-La's luxurious executive suite is second only to the presidential suite. It can accommodate 4 people and the rent per night is tens of thousands. It can be said to be very luxurious. You can live in this type of room if you can go out, and it's a set per person. The financial capacity of Mei Ching's family is very strong. After bidding farewell, Charlie and Jacob left the hotel together. As soon as he left the hotel door, Jacob couldn't help but take a deep breath, then he couldn't help but sigh again. Charlie sighed with emotion when he saw him next to him, and couldn't help asking, "Dad, what are you sighing for?" Jacob said with a sad face, "I really didn't expect it. I really didn't expect Mei Ching to have such a good life in the United States. I didn't expect that their family even had a law firm of their own. Compared with her, I am really useless." Charlie smiled slightly and comforted, "Dad, I don't think Aunt has any intention of despising you, and Aunt is really low-key and very humble. She is definitely not that kind of special material woman. Don't worry too much about these material gaps." Jacob sighed, and said helplessly, "I understand what you are saying, but as a man, I always feel that such a face is particularly shameless." Charlie said with a smile, "Dad, you think too much. Look at me. When Claire and I got married, I had nothing. I wanted money without money, status without status, ability without ability, status without status. At that time, the gap between me and Claire was much larger than the gap between you and Aunt, but Claire didn't get along well with me?" Jacob was stunned suddenly, and after thinking about it carefully, it was really true.